Hello, hello, hello. Hey, we're here, Toni.
I'm glad we're here, Tom.
Oh,
How is everyone
it's so
doing?
good to see you again.
It's nice seeing you as well.
I never thought Jason would stop. We're really happy to be here. Let me give you a couple more words of welcome. The Getting Smart team is leading a New Pathways campaign, which is a 3-year effort to try to connect more young people to opportunity. We're particularly interested in the important role that learner records and credentials can play in helping young people in high school and college stitch together in and out of school learning into a coherent pathway that connects them to work-based learning and ultimately to pathways to prosperity. That work is all sponsored by the Gates Foundation, by the Walton Foundation, by ASA, and a few others. So some of the same sponsors as this initiative. And as Jason said, we had the good fortune to work together in New Orleans, where we were talking about work-based learning. And this is where I spotted this magical human being, Toni. She was in the back of the room when we were talking about work-based learning. And I think I asked a question about esports.
Yeah, it was about esports.
How did you get involved in esports? When did that start?
Well, ever since I was a child, I've always loved computers. I always loved learning how to build things. I loved computer science. So esports have been a vital part of my life. Video games every night with my parents, how I learned with other people. So my school had an esports club.
Did they actually play with you?
No.
Or were they were trying to keep you off the computer?
Yeah, they wanted me to get off so much, but I was like, this is how I'm learning. I could do math games with this. I could do science games with this. And ultimately, they came to a point where if I can't take you off of it, at least I'll get you something educational to do with it too.
Did your school embrace esports? Did you take an esports class and participate in competitions after school?
We didn't have an esports class per se. We had an esports club. We had a computer science pathway where you could dive into esports if you felt the need to go into game development. Also with our school, with the pathways, we had CTSOs, student career student-led organizations, where you would actually go into competitions and compete within your target area. My target area was computer science and engineering, so my CTSO was TSA, Technology Student Association. During then, we would have different conferences where you would go to compete in different subfields of computer science, and it's not even just computer science. It's the soft skills that come with it as well, how you present, how you interact with other people. And it's ultimately not about the competitions itself. It's about the skills you learn while you're competing.
Did your esports experience, since it happened mostly out of school, do you feel like it in any way got captured, and was it represented in your transcript or the way that you tried to share yourself with scholarship organizations or with higher ed institutions?
In a way, no. Our school, it had the transcripts with the classes that you took, but the classes were very fundamental, like Intro to Computer Science AB, Applications of Engineering. While you did have the title that said what you did, it doesn't show the actual knowledge and deep learning that you've accumulated. If I could change it, I hope transcripts had a little section that said specific points. It had the learning targets, the essential questions that you face within the transcripts, because all transcripts are a title and a grade. Grades tell you how well you could sit, it tells you how well you can interact with your teacher, and it tells you how well you can write a paper. Grades do not tell you how much you've learned. It doesn't tell you all the skills you learned. I feel like I've learned more outside of school with my CTSO, because they encourage the soft skills that come along with the hard skills of computer science and engineering. Soft skills, you'll never be able to fully explore them in a classroom setting because they're not measurable. Hard skills, I could learn how to code anywhere. But can I be up here to talk to you and not feel scared, which I am, but you don't get that through classes and transcripts. They don't show what you know fundamentally in the core.
So esports, Jason, this is a little bit of a stretch, but I'm super excited about the Epic projects that Jason is launching, and in a couple days I'm going to have a blog on Epic and other client projects. I see that trending in both higher ed and high schools, but there's so many kids having these really interesting experiences in high schools that aren't in any way captured by a credential. And so I guess I love what you're describing about being better able to capture and communicate your skills, but it sounds like your esports experience could have been captured by an experience credential, and you could have had credentials that better captured the skills that you were developing, both in your courses and in esports. So you had to do that sort of manually in a workaround. You were just at classes at Howard this morning, right?
Yes, sir.
So congratulations on getting into Howard. That's awesome.
Thank you, thank you.
Isn't that cool? And was the college application process was probably like a breeze, right?
I don't know who told you that, but I feel for any student, whether you're academically motivated or not, college application processes are long and they are tedious. I don't know.
How many schools did you apply to?
I applied to 26 colleges and universities. Don't be shocked.
And you just had to push a button and it all happened automatically?
No. I feel like most of the colleges, they do partner with Common App or the Coalition, but there's still work that you have to do. Every college application has a target essay they want. They want you to talk about your experiences. They always want you to tell you more and more and more. And I feel like I had over 80 essays that I just copied and pasted from. I think this one will work here, this one will work here. But to find it, it's so scattered. I had ChatGPT got introduced. Was it right after you finished all those essays, or did you actually use ChatGPT for a couple of those essays? Come on, Toni. I can't say too much, but
she is a computer scientist, people.
I used it to my advantage. However, I could not use it for my college applications.
Really?
I started early in my college application season. So
that sucks.
If I could go over, I would.
So it sounds like that was kind of a nightmare. And I saw in the newspaper the other day that, is this true that you accumulated like $1 million of scholarships? Is that true?
Yeah.
And that was a whole separate rat race of finding and applying for? Yeah.
Most of my scholarships came from the schools itself, but the outside scholarships that I did gain, they all came to me within a week. I felt like...
But like all at the same time?
All at the same time, all at the same time.
So you went from, I can't go to college because I can't afford it, to, oh my God, I've got more money than I could possibly spend.
That's exactly what happened. I found out about all of my scholarships at the end of April. So you're supposed to do College Decision Day on May 1st. I felt so scared. I didn't want to put a burden onto my parents because they had already poured so much into me. And I'm over here with 0 scholarships to my name. I wanted to go to big schools, Georgia Tech, Howard, Jackson State, Caltech. Yet those colleges and universities, they have a price tag attached to them.
Yeah.
Finding the scholarships was hard because not only do you have to do your college applications with their set of questions that they want you to answer, but scholarships, they also want you to write 5, 10 essays just to get maybe $1,000, $500 here.
I love my local Rotary. I was in that for like 30 years, but we would torture young people and give them $1,000. You're like, right? You went through that. So, Toni, there's tens of thousands of young people, mostly in Texas, that had the opportunity in the last 2 years to work on an early learner record system where they could capture all their credentials and courses in a blockchain learner record, and they could curate that record, and then they could push it out to individual colleges and to groups of colleges and to scholarship organizations, thousands of them, and immediately know if they qualified for those scholarships, and very quickly begin receiving inbound offers from higher education. And that, for me, is this early picture of the potential benefits of learner records, does that sound like a process that would have been a little better than what you just went through?
Just hearing about the whole process, it would be exponentially better. My college application process, I had over 80 tabs open at one time. I had essays from here to here. I had my credits that I got here, my transcript over here, and just switching through the tabs made it disorganized. I feel like an LER would be more streamlined and easily navigatable. Yeah.
So it feels like, I know you're like a week into college now, you're a veteran, but pretty soon, like this fall, you'll probably start thinking about, oh, I'm starting to think about my summer job for next year or an internship potential. Do you see a way that a learner record system could unlock those kinds of opportunities?
Of course. With my program, the CARSTEM Scholars, we have to apply for internships every year. It's one of our fundamental parts. It has to be paid internships because they don't want us working for free. And with it, you have to apply to at least 7 and get accepted into 1. You have to go through 7 applications of internships. With the internship application process, you'd have to put in the credits that you've earned, you'd have to put in the skills that you know, the hard and the soft ones, and you have to put in your letters of recommendations. Having that all over the place, you would lose the most important aspects of yourself within trying to find what you think is good. However, if you had one centralized place that you could just push forward to a company or enterprise and they could see everything that you've done, it would be easier. And I feel like you would get more acceptances that way because while I may think taking a intro to speech class may not be important, other companies might be like, oh, I need someone who knows how to speak and communicate with my employers or our new customers, so we think this is good for you. So things that I may leave out on an application might be important. However, if I had an LER that shows everything that I've done, they could pick through it themselves to see what's important to them.
This brief little interlude that we're having at lunch here is a student focus group of 1, a reminder of why we're doing this work to help create opportunity in equitable and efficient ways for people like Toni. If you have a question you want to ask Toni, we've got people with mics, so feel free to chime in with questions about how she's thinking about opportunity. My new friend Naomi from Velocity wanted to know about how you thought credentials and a learner record system might unlock international opportunity. Have you thought about learning internationally and any of that coming up?
Not necessarily. However, my program, we're taking us to Ghana.
Is that like next week or next month?
Next week, actually.
Wow.
So we're going to the University of Ghana to explore how humanities and social sciences and STEM-related opportunities are presented there. I feel like having an LER, because it's so standardized, you don't have to go through what are the American standards of being a good engineer compared to the European standards or the African standards, because it's centralized. You don't have to pick and choose which ones make sense for the United States and which ones make sense for Africa.
Jason, our last podcast on gettingsmart.com was with a bunch of learners from Notre Dame de Sion, which is a great high school in South Kansas City. They just had the learners from their global academy. I think they all went to Kenya. I was thinking it was Ghana, but they did a bunch of global impact projects in Kenya. And Jason, it struck me that it would have been a perfect example of a client project because they identified local customers for a set of projects and really sprinted to delivering value for this local audience. And you reminded me of an example of a really valuable project that could not even show up on a transcript, right? And so this is our shared goal of creating experiences like you're going to have, but finding new ways to capture and communicate those to facilitate future talent transactions. So, but international learning, you don't think that'll be part of, are you going to do a semester abroad or anything like that?
I would like to. However, I feel like there's not a lot of opportunities out there, well, access to opportunities out there for international studies. You have to find them yourself. They're not just presented to you. And I feel like if it was more streamlined, more mainstream, then I could possibly go abroad.
Are there other examples in high school? Because you had interesting interest in both esports and games and game design. Did you have any other out-of-school learning experiences that you wish had been better captured by your high school transcript?
A whole bunch of things. Like I said earlier, transcripts, they only show the classes that you've taken and the grades you've received and what class rank you were. They don't mention all the outside projects that you've done. Recently, a group of my friends and I, we competed in this Future Cities build. We had to create an entire city out of just plastic materials, recycled things, and just it has to be under $100, yet it has to show a world which we could live in the future. I feel like projects like those, they don't show up because they're not important to them. There's another case with my CTSO. With the competitions that we have to do, their competitions are valuable. One of my favorite competitions was Webmaster. I created an entire website about this fictional company called Space Forward. It was about space tourism and how people could apply to go on a rocket ship and stay in a hotel on Mars for a couple days. That project will never show up on my transcript. And I could include it into my resume if I could connect it to my HTML skills and the CSS that I've learned, but they don't know the background behind it, because to create a website about a company, you have to create a company first. So they don't know the storytelling that went behind it. They don't know the arts and crafts that went behind it. They don't know the actual fundamentals, the underground things from the top layer.
This, I want to take 30 seconds to just underscore what Toni just described. I'm super excited about the potential of skills credentialing and skills-based hiring, and in part because I feel some culpability for standing up No Child Left Behind and the testing regime that we've lived through for the last 20 years. I think I have an appreciation for unintended consequences. I'm concerned that skills-based hiring could turn into another bad version of test prep and test prepping around skills. And so to balance that, I'm really excited about credentialing experiences, rich, deep experiences that bundle many different skills. And I think by combining experience credentialing and skills credentialing, that we can encourage rather than discourage deeper learning. So as Toni said, thinking about communication systems that really fully convey the richness of the capabilities of who you are actually becoming. You're an amazing set of skills, but it's also because you've had this really rich set of experiences. We have a question back here.
Hi, this is a great conversation, thanks. My name is Steve, and I'm just curious how you are seeing, you mentioned a little bit of AI with regard to essay prep and other things, and I wonder how you see just your college career and your future as it connects to AI, and how you think that's affecting you and the students around you.
That's a super great question. So you are the first college class ever, really, that will do a four-year experience in the age of AI. You're probably also the first college class where all of you will graduate with an LER and a set of credentials. So in several respects, you're sort of a first-gen class on a bunch of these fronts. But how are you thinking about how AI is going to shape what your learning looks like, and then sort of your job and career aspirations?
Actually, I'm so glad that we're onto this topic. My major is computer engineering, and my minor is psychology. What I want to study and research as I grow up and move along the educational experience is how human perspective changes in regards to AI and technological advancements. I personally believe that AI is the future. We are going to have to accept it because it's going to become a vital part of our lives. I want to know why people are so against it when they know it could work. AI, it's not there to take away jobs from people. It's there to remove the unnecessary things and rudimentary parts of our lives so we could focus on more engaging parts. I feel like technology and AI become more vital and more integral into our worlds So you don't have to just be a computer science major. You can be a journalist who uses data for their research. You could be an artist who looks up graphs and how AI is used. I feel like AI is going to be so important into our world. And I don't understand why people are so against it, because it's going to free up the unnecessary parts that we don't have to put a lot of brain power to. We could use our brains for more important things.
I've been thinking a lot about how this should change high school pathways. You know, now with things like Microsoft's Copilot and all the no-code, low-code platforms that are out there, it's becoming so much easier to stand up a website. I'm trying to decide whether we should still teach young people coding. Do you think it's still going to be valuable to learn some coding and to learn how to use a set of Copilot tools? Do you have a view on that yet?
Yes, I feel like you should still teach kids how to code, because even though you have the tools, what are tools used for if you don't know how to use it? Yeah. If I had a wrench, I wouldn't know what to do with it. Well, I would, because I'm an engineer. But if you just gave me a wrench and told me just screw in this bolt, if I didn't know how to use the wrench, then I don't know how to do anything. I feel like you have to have a fundamental experience beforehand so you can use the shortcut. Yeah. Like in my calculus class, that was the first class that I've taken in college right now. They always teach you the harder processes first, so you can know the actual intricacies, why you're doing this, and then they teach you the shortcuts. Because they're like, okay, you know how to do, linear approximation. Now we're going to teach you Taylor's rule. So do it easy, learn the fundamentals, and then use the shortcuts. Because if you're just using a shortcut, you don't know why you're using what you're doing.
Thank you for the discussion. Just want to follow up with your comments about, in the high school transcript, they don't reflect the external projects or outside of school experience. And we are actually, I'm from ETS, I'm Guangming Ling. We are actually partnering with Carnegie Foundation now to try to reshape the K-12 education from seat time-based education to skills or competence-based education, in which one of them specifically we want to make sure in the near future that we have high school transcripts that reflects not only the classes you're taking, but also all kinds of skills individuals have learned through the in-school, out-of-school experience. And we are in the process of doing the landscape analysis. And we would love to talk to you, Toni, or any of your friends, with similar experiences, to see in what perspective this kind of effort could benefit everyone, especially students from backgrounds like you and other folks. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I feel like my school, we were a pathway-based school, so you had to do career certified classes and take a test at the end to get credentials. However, it's not even mentioned on our transcript. They just know the classes that we took within the pathway. Yeah. However, if I'm a computer science major or I'm applying to colleges, I can put my outside activities on my resume, but those resumes are one page only. I can't fit everything that I've done into one page. How does that make sense? But if I had an LER, I could have all my projects in just one space. I feel like if you're having a program dedicated for career industry and career readiness, you should be able to reflect that within all aspects of your school instead of just the classes. It should be reported on your transcripts. It should be reported in your student profile. It should be reported in your student, not the transcript, your student account, everything. It's just a title that comes with the classes back at my school. I feel like if it was more institutionalized within the school itself, it would have been better.
A couple words of thanks. Thanks to ETS, and we appreciate your partnership with Carnegie Foundation and your effort to replace the Carnegie unit as the structure for learning and staffing and funding. And so we appreciate your work. Our friends at XQ help fund some of that. We appreciate it. Also wanted to say hi to Chris Collins, Jana Leonard from Cajon Valley Union School District in East San Diego, best example of K-12 career exploration in the United States. If you want to go someplace that's doing deep, rich learning from kindergarten through 12th grade and thinking hard about how to credential that and use a learner record to share it, Cajon Valley is a super partner. Greg Nudo, I spend every Thursday morning with him and the IEEE folks thinking about how to do this better for all of you. So thanks for being here for this conversation about credentials and learner records. Thanks, Mr. Hughes, for all your work at Education Design Lab for helping to make the last couple days possible. And thanks for Toni. What a treat. Thanks for taking a break in your studies to come over and have lunch with us. It's been such a treat to get to know you. And I'm looking forward to your journey at Howard. And I know there's a few people here that are going to want to keep track of you and may have some work experiences lined up for you in the very near future.
Let me know. I just wanted to say thank you so much for inviting me out here. I want to say thank you to everyone in attendance, because the work that y'all are doing now, it would help my generation so much. I feel like I don't want to say older generations, but the purpose of the older generation is to set up the future. From there, once you let a pipeline and a foundation for us, it's our job to continue what you've left off, to move it forward for the next generation. And now that we're taking a new stand, well, y'all are taking a new stand into changing how we view actual job readiness, career readiness, educational readiness, I feel like it will reflect so much better into these next couple years and decades. So I just wanted to say thank you so much.
Thanks to our student focus group of one. Thank you, Toni.